are you kidding me? I said, please, look at this thing. It's perfect, except for this. He said, but yeah, he said, they're gonna charge you 15 grand to fix it. Replace the door and replace the whole side and yada, yada, yada. And I said, that can't happen. So he went inside, took a whole bunch of pictures and the mileage and my tires and the AC and all this stuff. And he said, let me get back with you. Well, the insurance company called me 2 days later and said, okay, here's the deal. If you total it and we come and take it away, we'll give you 15 grand. And if you keep it, we'll give you 13.5. And Carol and I have been sitting in our house for 2 years, needing to paint it. I didn't want to paint it because we're trying to save money to stucco our house and get this stuff done and move on. But I was just about the point. I was going to have to paint it and call it good. But he said 13.5, and for 13.5, I called my insurance man. He said, God, take it. He said, it happens all the time. My rates aren't going to go up. Everything's going to be just fine. So we stuccoed our house. I fixed the motorhome for $350. You can go out there, you can't tell. I have friends that know welding, and we put it all back together. But that's just about the biggest Jesus moment of my life. I mean, somebody said, don't do it. Had I done it, I'll guarantee you, I'd be in cuffs, I'd be in jail, I'd have to hire an attorney, all the other stuff that goes with it. Right there on the spot, man, he bailed me out. I've told this story 100 times, and I'll tell it 100 more times. He's helped me a bunch. I've been healed twice. Once I was on a construction job in Dawson Ranch. I was hanging sheetrock and doing these people's basement. And my back, my sciatic nerve in my right leg was horrible. It was debilitating. And I had to call for a sheetrock inspection. And the inspector came and he looked at it, we're talking a little bit, and I'm walking around, he said, are you all right? I said, oh no. I said, I got serious sciatic nerve problems. And he says, this was within 6 months of becoming a Christian. He said, can I pray for you? I mean, this is a building inspector. What is this, you know? And a year earlier, I'd probably said, yeah, but it'd been real weird. But this wasn't so weird. But I didn't know this guy from Adam. It was Rob Pollan, and he's the pastor at Praise Community Church in Florence. Never met this guy in my life. And he laid his hand on me, and he prayed on me. And the next day, it was gone. I could barely walk. It was gone. And needless to say, Rob and I have been friends ever since. I stayed in touch with this guy. He is wonderful. And 6 months later, I was in here. We were at the SOCM class. And my back, I've had back problems. I've been in construction forever, lifting too many heavy things. And my back, when it goes, it really goes. And this one really went to the point that I was talking with trying to find a surgeon in Colorado Springs. And I had an appointment with his understudy, whatever that is. I mean, I was getting ready to do this. And at SOCM, they asked if anybody was hurting. And, well, yeah, I raised my hand. So I went up and I sat on the stage. There was 3 or 4 of us. And there were 2 people that had their hands on my shoulders. Crystal Canaday walked up to me and got on her knees. And I looked down, and I was sitting on stage, and she held her hands up just above my feet, and I couldn't understand what she was saying. She was saying something. And all of a sudden, she laid her hands on my feet, and this coolness, it wasn't warm, it was a coolness, started at my toes and went evenly up my legs, through my knees, to my stomach, which was also my back, and stopped right there. Wow, what was that? And I still hurt when it was all done. But the next morning, it was gone. It was gone. And I've seen other things like that. Harley and Sylvia, Harley, they used to go to this church, and he came to me, I was at the front door, and I went to put my hand on his shoulder, he said, "Don't want to do that." He said, "I got shingles, something fierce on the whole right side of my body." So he came inside, I prayed on him, I did the best I could, and he called me the next morning in tears, his shingles were gone. Praise God. We try. We don't always hit home runs. I mean, I think about things like my back and Harley, and if any of you, if you do not know Leslie Gaylor, you need to meet Leslie Gaylor. She's having a really hard time now. She has a hard time most times, but she bought a house with Brian, the guy that takes care of her, and we're getting ready to build her a handicapped bathroom to die for in this house. We're getting it all mapped out and get that done here pretty soon. Advice. I know you all want advice from an old man, right? Don't ever give up on helping people less fortunate. It's almost what I live for, you know. You see them everywhere. You see somebody walking side the road, pick them up. My wife's seen some of I brought a homeless guy once that worked for me and let him take a shower at my house, and she had a real tough time with that for a little while. we settled down and she figured it out. But they're everywhere. And I told you in the my sermon about the guy walking the bike down here that was walking this broke down bike with the cart on the back. And I stopped and asked if he needed help, and he told me to kiss him off. And it wasn't that polite, but sometimes you hit a home run, sometimes you don't, you know, but we don't stop trying. And 2 years ago, I came here, I'm a greeter and my wife does donuts. We come early and we come in here about 7:30, 4 to 8, and there's one guy sitting on the chairs out here in the concrete, coming into the church all by himself. This guy's fresh out of prison. You can tell looking 100 yards away. He's got tattoos all over the place. He's got a clean white beater shirt on, some new boots, and had a Bible. And I sat down and talked to him. And he told me he had just gotten out of prison at Salida, and he was living at Super 8, and he was into Jesus, and he was going to make this work. So I half adopted the guy. I took him home to my house and went through my closet and gave him all my clothes, that don't fit me anymore. When you get my age, it's kind of hard to. Anyway, yeah. So I gave him all the clothes that don't fit me, and I didn't even know till after I didn't pay any attention that I didn't know this guy from Adam. There's a shotgun in the corner of my closet. Who knows, you know? I mean, I think we got along fine. It was all good. But anyway, I wound up using him, taking him to work for a couple days, and 2 like half days or something. And he didn't know very much, but he did okay. He worked, and we did some plumbing under the sink and stuff. I installed a countertop. I gave him $100. And 3 or 4 days later, talked to Dan Kennedy. We were in close touch about this thing because Dan worked with prison people for a long time. He came to, I think it was a discipleship on Monday night. This guy came, and he was acting kind of weird. And then he left. And he came back, and he stoned out of his door. And that's the last time we saw him. Dan's sure he wound up back in prison. Heard that he got kicked out of Super 8 for doing drugs. But it wasn't my $100, it was his $100. Did he go out and buy it? It kind of weighs on me. Maybe I pushed too hard. But I don't know. I was just trying, that's all. And we don't always hit a home run. But I'm going to tell you about a home run right now. And Jesse and Rachel aren't here, and I don't even know any of the countless kids that Harrigan's helped here. But I have become pretty close with Jesse and Rachel's son. He's their adopted son. We heard about it, when he left here a couple of months ago. He went to Indiana. This kid did 2 years in prison. I won't go there for it. It was a real, dumbass attack. But there was a gun involved, and when he got out of prison, Jesse and Rachel were standing at the gate. And this is as nice a kid as I've ever met. He screwed up. Yeah, he screwed up big time, but I've never seen anybody so intent on getting it right the second time around. He worked his butt off for me, and I paid him. He's got an apartment over in there, those red buildings near the bowling alley, and he's positive. I pray that he's going to be okay, and I'm staying in pretty close touch with him. Advice: think before you speak. My wife and I both have trouble with this one, but we work on it. You can't take back things that you say in anger. It's pretty hard. So, and I learned that at an early age from my grandfather. We talked to him, and it was like we didn't know if he was going to answer us or not, because he'd sit there for a while, and all of a sudden he'd start talking. So don't speak in anger. And something else that really, really touched me here. I'm married. I've been married twice. I know thousands of people have gotten married, but until I don't see Brooke.
She just walked out first.
She what?
She walked out, I think she was.
Until Brooke and Luke, I never knew anybody that dated and married biblically.